tent. Okay, this is the final thing. Wow, that's pretty much what I'm thinking. Oh dear, look. Let's go closer. What's it called inside? I can't really tell. Wow. Look at the picture. This is the final result. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Lovely stuff. Postcards. What's the one? Bueno, esta es Magdalena. En español. Well, this is Magdalena.
Hi, how are you?
What is your surname?
It's Surani, Magdalena Surani.
Where are you from?
I'm from Argentina, from Buenos Aires.
From Buenos Aires. Eres porteña.
Porteña, yes.
Muy bien. Well, I will ask you. I would love to ask you, with my English, what are you trying to represent with this? What is the title of the work?
Well, it
Or hasn't got any title?
I haven't embellished it with a title because in the type of imagery I was trying to portray and the symbolism, I feel like in this case creation doesn't really have a name. So I just left it to the interpretation of the viewer, and a lot of people have been very haste in giving it a title on its own, so I didn't find it necessary to add to that.
Well, but maybe you can help me to interpret.
Well, I wanted to build a shrine. I wanted to honor something that is given, is passed down to 60% of the population.
Okay.
But it's not actually our own. It's not something that we can call I'm sorry. It's not something that we can call our responsibility. It's quite literally a woman being tied down by her ability to create, and an ability that she didn't choose to have.
Okay. So it's something to do with creation and women, and is it something to do with...
No,
with breathing?
Yeah, well, it is a lot to do with breathing. It's a lot to do with the
conception and
with breeding, but more like the unnecessary reproduction of a viral species that destroys everything around it, that feeds from what's given to them, something beautiful and expansive and natural in the most literal sense of the word, and how we take advantage and exploit it in such a to such an extent that we take it for granted, that we feel bigger than that. But in truth, we are nothing compared to nature.
And what does...
and to the power of nature.
Okay.
Which is represented in not necessarily in conception, but in birth.
Okay, and I want to ask you, what does blood represent here, or what are you trying to convey?
Well,
Through all this is, you know, it's like very splatter, no?
Yes, I did a couple of performances since I finished the piece, and blood is a very, I mean, it's of a very extreme color that has always been associated with all sorts of connotations throughout history.
What about menstruation? Has it got something with
it's
that?
menstruation, it's blood, it's war, it's impurity.
Impurity or
Yes,
purity?
No, well, both, but mostly impurity. I mean, it's been that idea of purity and the idea of virginity has been translated in most cultures in the world to an ingrained or innate sense of impurity within the generator of this blood.
It's like the beginning of sexuality and the end of sexuality, isn't it? It's when you stop being a virgin and you spill some blood, and when you have your menopause and stop having the blood.
Well, I mean, in many cultures, a woman that's infertile or sterile is considered not to be a woman.
Yeah.
And so a woman starts and ends in her ability to reproduce.
And what about these images around the tent? What do they represent? Because are they female figures or are they masculine?
Well, I am playing a lot with androgynous figures. A lot of the male figures are in a borderline women, have borderline female bones structure, and a lot of the female figures are actually quite manly in their expression.
Yes.
But a lot of people see this as this, you know, a generous a show of sexuality or even an orgy. But the truth is, nobody is actually touching each other in that way. There is a sense of touch.
And I wanted to ask you
and
something.
Different types
Are you trying to shock people? Because I mean, they were just these two ladies that they passed by, and they said, "Oh my Lord!" when they saw this piece. Are you trying to shock people?
I've always come up with very strong imagery, but not necessarily for the purpose of shocking. I actually expect people to be a lot more mature.
Okay.
And look at the work as objectively as possible. But of course, any reaction is a good reaction if they love it or they hate it. If they're, I mean, I feel like there's nothing worse than someone being indifferent to work, to any work. And
I was looking at the hole in the middle of the figure, and I don't know, it's supposed to be a pregnant woman. But having said that, he looks much more like a vagina, really. You know, like.
Well, yes, but I mean, it could also be one of those precarious cesareans they used to perform in ancient times. As well, if you notice, the belly is empty. This is a big tribute to something that isn't there.
Okay.
To something that doesn't live there anymore.
Okay.
Or that's been.
What is your personal view about having children?
My personal view? Well,